Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Short Term Rentals podcast. My name is Paul Stevens, news editor of Short Term Rentals, and today I'm speaking to Mark Simpson, who is the owner of Boostly and creator of the Boostly podcast, helping hospitality owners all over the world get more heads on beds, boost their direct bookings, and cut down on commission costs. He also recently won the Shorties Award for Best Use of Social Media. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hi, Paul. Yeah, very well, thank you, and pleasure to be on here, and thank you for the invite.
And where are you calling in from today?
So I am currently in Scarborough, which, for those who don't know, is in the northeast of the UK, in Yorkshire. I'm currently at the Granary Farm Stay, which is my family's farm stay business. It's a bed and breakfast, holiday cottages. I do actually live in Spain, but as we all know, the STRz happened on the 11th of March. We flew over for it, and we were there for the Short Stay Show Award, and then we just couldn't get back. So me and my family, we are here. We're here for the foreseeable. This is obviously being recorded on the 30th of April. So hopefully in the next 4 weeks, we'll know when we can get back.
Excellent. So today we're going to be talking about advice for owners on the way to recovery, the trend for direct bookings post-COVID-19, and the innovations businesses can be making to adapt to a potential new working environment from now on. So the first question is for you, Mark, so from the hospitality owners that you've been speaking to at the moment through Boostly, do you have any tips for anyone in the sector who is currently struggling or needs advice on recovery?
Yeah, I mean, as you can understand, since the 13th of March, really, where it really properly started this world decided to turn upside down, hospitality owners have been hit really hard. And there's been so many, it doesn't matter whether you've got a serviced accommodation or a hotel or a B&B or a single cottage rental unit or a glamping site, everybody's been affected with cancellations. And the hospitality community Facebook group, which is my Facebook group that I look after, it's got over 4,000 members, and it's been so busy the last month with people asking for advice, worrying about income, asking about business rates, asking about all of this support. And my one big advice that I've given to everybody is do not waste your time and do not waste your focus on things that you cannot control. So you can't control on when you're going to get, your rates, your business rates, your grants and whatever. You can't control when the lockdown's going to end, but what you can control is your mindset, your personal, how you're going to cope through these times mentally and physically and whatnot, but also where you can focus on your business. And so many people, the biggest mistake that I've seen people make is they've gone dark. What I mean by they've gone dark is that they've stopped communicating with their audience on social media. They've stopped sending emails. They've stopped, just literally gone quiet. And that's the worst thing that you can do, because we're now 6 weeks in since it all really started to go south, since this pandemic properly kicked in for Europe. And there have been so many success stories, and I'm happy to share them with you. But the ones that have been successful have been the ones that have done things in form of marketing that they've never done before. They've gone out and gone into Facebook groups. They've called in favors with people that they've known. Obviously, in the UK, you can only house and look after key workers at the moment, whatever key workers is being specified as. But people have been going out and finding them. There's been COVID Facebook groups set up locally all over the UK. People have been going into there. They've been introducing themselves and letting know who they're helping. And I did a podcast episode recently, and I interviewed 6 other hospitality owners from the UK, ranged from service accommodation to B&B owners, and we've interviewed each one. And the overwhelming response of what they've done well to win during this coronavirus crisis is that they've focused on Facebook groups, they've focused on the local crowd, and they've built up a local network where they are the first person that people are contacting when they know of others that need accommodation. So that would be the one big advice that I'd pass on to your audience, would be to utilize these tactics that you may not have done so in the past.
I think that would be very useful advice for a lot of people out there right now. So thank you, Mark. Secondly, what do you think will be some of the main consequences for travel post COVID-19? You're sort of in the direct bookings market. Do you think we will see more of a trend for direct bookings as time goes on?
So one of the main consequences that I think that we will notice is that international travel, as we know it, that will be totally changed. So what I mean by that, and what I firmly believe, is that you're going to hear a phrase that's going to get overused over the course of the coming weeks and months, is staycation. So you're going to find that there's going to be a lot more people that are not going to be traveling abroad. They're going to be staying in the UK, or, for those that are tuning in, maybe in mainland Europe, people are going to be jumping in their cars. So they won't be relying on airplanes as much as what they used to. We flew so much, but I think now, specifically over the coming weeks and months, people will be more confident to jump in their car to go to a destination. So if you're in the UK, obviously that's the staycation you're going to hear more of, but you're based in, if you're listening to this from Spain, Italy, Germany, Belgium, France, etc., then what you'll notice is you'll get more people from mainland. You won't get people flying in. So I think that's going to be one of the main things that we're going to see on the back of this. Unfortunately, for those that heavily rely on flights and international guests are coming from further afield, I'm afraid that you're going to have to pivot slightly in who you attract into your business.
And then my third question relates a little bit to your answer in the first, but to what extent do you think maintaining communication within these difficult times is going to be important? And I mean that in both a business and a personal sense.
No, 100%. Like I said in the answer to the first question, it's so important to keep that line of communication. There was a recent survey done by Fuel Travel, based in America. They've got a podcast themselves. It's fantastic. Everyone should check that out. And they did a survey, and they've been doing it once every 3 weeks. And they've been surveying over 15,000 guests and travelers. And some really interesting figures that came out of that survey was that, number one, only 3% of the whole 15,000 people that took the survey would not travel again in 2020. So 97% of people, a large majority, want to travel. And over 70% of that same audience wanted to hear from you. As in, when I'm saying you, I mean you, the hospitality owner. So if you've been open for business for a couple of years, you've built up a guest list, you've built up an email list, then a large majority of them want to hear from you. They want to know what's going on. They want to know how you're coping with lockdown. They want to know what you're doing. They want to hear, they want to be basically remembered of, why they want to come and stay with you. And, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on Instagram, everybody's on social media, everybody's got their phone because they're sat at home and they're bored. So it's the best time more than ever to keep that line of communication open. So go live on Facebook, go live on Instagram, send that tweet, go on LinkedIn, pick up that email, or contact a previous guest. If you've had cancellations, we've all had cancellations. Everybody that's listening to this, there's not one who hasn't had a cancellation. So why don't you take this time to pick up the phone and call that person who cancelled and try and get them to rebook? Try and adopt this new terminology that so many people in the hospitality community are using, which is change, not cancel. So if we can do that and say, listen, Paul, instead of cancelling your stay, let's change it. Let's change it for later in 2020. Let's look at 2021. And then you're going to have to be very flexible with, new policies and whatnot. So things like have a worry-free cancellation, adopting things like that. Because again, two big words that came out of this survey. Number one was safety. Number two was cancellation. So safety means, everybody's going to just have to adopt new cleaning policies, and they're going to have to talk about it a lot more. Our new unique selling point isn't going to be our amazing view or our comfy beds. It's going to be how we keep our properties clean from one to the next. Another one is going to be what cancellation policies have you got into to keep everybody happy? And again, that's what gonna have to be for things that we're going to be talking about. So that line of communication is super important, and it all starts with your website. On the homepage of your website, tell everybody this, because it's where so many people are going.
So for someone who's already in the podcast business, how can businesses be innovating to adapt to this potential new working environment that we're already seeing hints of? And what is it that you think makes resources such as podcasts and webinars such useful tools for sharing information?
Well, it's such a cool question, and I was very fortunate on my daily podcast, the Boost Hospitality podcast. I invited on Lloyd Knowlton, who has got a podcast called Business Anchors. He does it with him and his brother, and they recently started up a podcast. And I asked that question, would you recommend a hospitality owner getting involved with potential podcasts? It's a great chance to sort of tell your story through a different form of medium. And I think the one reason why people don't sort of maybe start doing podcasts is they think it's really hard. But, as you know, and as I know, you just can use Skype to record a phone call conversation. If you want to interview somebody, if it's just you can literally just pick up your phone and record the audio. You upload it to Anchor, ANCHOR, and then that distributes it to Spotify, sends it to iTunes, to Google Play, and it does it all for you. So it's really easy. What I will say is that the amount of brick and mortar businesses, whether you're hospitality, whether you're whatever you're doing, everybody is having to pivot online at the moment. And the ones that aren't, I'm afraid you're going to get left behind. This is just the way of the world right now. People now are doing online orders, online deliveries that have never ever done so before. It's been so inspiring seeing how so many businesses have innovated and have pivoted online. And I think it's a wake-up call for a lot of people. But there's been so many amazing opportunities that have been created on the back of it. The example that I want to share with you, Georgina Behrman, she's part of the Boostly Academy, my private training group. She's got a B&B in the northwest of the UK. And obviously, bed and breakfasts were heavily affected with cancellations. So, I think within a space of 24 hours, she's lost 80-90% of all her bookings for the foreseeable. Instead of just bitching and moaning and sort of cursing her luck, she pivoted and she put a picture up of her breakfast menu on Facebook and said, would there be anybody interested in the local area who would like to get a breakfast delivered? And the response from that Facebook post was overwhelming. So many people said yes. So she took it a step further. She put a price to it, and then she took orders. And then now she's pivoted again, and now she's doing afternoon teas. So she's bringing in a really good income, not as much as the B&B, but a good income for doing afternoon teas. And I said to her yesterday, I said, once this is over and the B&B reopens, don't stop doing the afternoon teas, because you've got a second income now. You've got a brand new opportunity here. So this is the advice that I'd give to everybody, is look at potential new ideas. Look at things like Zoom, like Skype. What can you do online? What can you be potentially doing? Could you be hosting a Zoom call and inviting all of your guests that have stayed with you in the past to jump on and to share some memories? Could you just do a live video and walk around your property? Those of you that have got, a business where you live on site and you have guests come to stay with you, this is a perfect chance to be doing it. And, if you need any help and advice, all you need to do is go to boostly.co.uk. We've got tons of free advice there. You can go to the YouTube channel. You've got over 40 hours of videos there. And there's loads of advice on how you can get online and how you can put these marketing tips and advice into practice for your business.
Fantastic. I think some very useful advice there for everyone that hopefully everyone listening today will be able to take some great takeaways from. Thank you, Mark, and for being our latest guest on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Just a reminder as well that you can all follow all of the latest news, features and opinions from the global short-term rental industry on ShortTermRentalz.com, where you can also sign up to our weekly newsletter, which comes out every Monday. Thank you for listening.